workshop of BrightStone Group. Great to see you guys all. Today we will have a session of 1 hour hosted by Rosaria Cirillo, who's a good friend of mine. She's the famous writer of Yellow Goldfish. She's going to tell us a little bit more about what happiness means and how we can drive ourselves to be happy all the time. And after that, we will give you a brief update regarding developments at BrightStone Group. So wishing you a lovely evening and hope to see you later. Bye-bye.
Welcome, everyone. So my name is Rosaria Cirillo. Before I even introduce you to myself, well, I first want to thank you all for being here and for allowing me to really talk to you about happiness-driven growth and the way that we can support ourselves, especially in this period, which, as you will see, is a topic that I'm really, really passionate about. And while all the insights from what I will be sharing with you come indeed from my book, Yellow Goldfish and Yellow Factor, which are about how can companies increase happiness for customers, employees, and society overall. Tonight, we will look at the focus from the personal side. How can you increase your own happiness? And everything that we learn is then also applicable to your clients, your employees, or your family. But before I even get into the presentation, which I will be try to keep as interactive as possible by using two tools. One is Slido, which is a tool to ask you questions and have very quickly all your answers in word clouds. And the second thing that I will be using with you is a technique and a methodology that I learned about now in March of 2019, and that is Qigong, which also comes from, so it comes from Tai Chi, and it's about really leveraging and managing our own energy, the Qi, both from within ourselves, but also about getting it from outside ourselves, from the nature and the universe. So before I get into sharing with you what are top 10 tips that you can use to increase your happiness, what I want to share with you is, I want to first have with you, and just give me a second, yes. I want to share with you, start with a meditation, which also comes from Qigong. So it's based on the text from Lee Holden, which is one of the masters of Qigong. And it's gonna be only 3 to 4 minutes maximum. So it's gonna be very short, but it's called the Inner Smile Meditation. And there is also actually the longer version, which is 10 minutes, is available on Spotify. What I will guide you through now, it's a more of a shorter version. So I will ask you to find a comfortable way of sitting on your chair. We are all in front of our screens, but take a moment to really find a position in which you're comfortable. If you can, have your feet grounded on the floor. And then I invite you to close your eyes and take a couple of deep breath in, long deep breath in and out. And really, as you breathe in and out, really relax into where you are in your energy at this very moment, and relax inside yourself. And as you inhale, also start to really deep breathe from your stomach into your abdomen, which is really your power center. And then as you exhale, you let your abdomen relax and you breathe out through the nose. And with your next deep breath, you imagine looking at the sunrise or at sunset and really breathing in all of the golden light of that sunrise or that sunset. And when you breathe out instead, you start breathing out cloudy gray energy out of your system. So you breathe in golden light, light and energy, and you really take in all of this golden light and the energy coming from this golden light. And as you do that, you really imagine a small smile starting to take form between your ears, between your eyes. And that smiling energy on your face really sends a message to your brain and to your body to raise the vibration in your body, to uplift and to elevate your internal state of being. And the more as you breathe in, you think of this golden light and energy coming in into your body and giving you smiling energy. And as you breathe out and imagine this cloudy gray air coming out of your body. And in that way, you are really letting go of anything that doesn't serve you anymore. You let go of stress, you let go of tension, you let go on any worries you may have carried out with you from the day. And then you breathe in and you keep breathing in this golden light and this energy coming from the sunrise. And you imagine this warm light really shining on your face, and you absorb it through every cell of your face, and you smile. And as you smile, really as you smile and you breathe in this energy and you breathe out all of the anxiety and tension, you really create space for compassion and gratitude to emerge naturally. And you keep taking a few more deep breaths in, inhaling this golden light, and few breaths out, breathing out all of this gray energy. And this is really a quick way of really reconnecting with the energy of the nature of universe, of the sunlight. And this meditation is called the Inner Smile meditation, because it really allows us to take a moment to take deep breath in and out, connecting with the energy of the sun and letting go of everything that doesn't serve us anymore. So I let you take a few more deep breath in and out on your own timing. Again, imagining all this golden light of sunrise, now almost dark, and let go of anything else that doesn't serve you anymore. And when you're ready on your own time, take few final breaths and you can open your eyes. And this is really, you see, it's a quick way in just 3-4 minutes to ground yourself and become present again with your body and recover your energy. And it's one of the first elements of Qigong that you can use. And at this point, I would like to take a few moments also to introduce myself. And even before that, I want to take a moment to say, please feel free to put on your video. Like, I know we are all coming from timing where we are busy and we feel like we are not looking at our best. I'm sure I'm not looking at my best either, because it's 6 o'clock already in the evening. The light is no longer the proper one, but this is really about connecting with each other, for you to see each other, for me also to see your faces and see how much of the items are resonating. And also there, by really seeing each other and seeing each other smile, that also becomes a way of connecting and also gain energy from each other, and do that in a proactive way. And what I would like to do at this point is to really share some quick, just few basic things about myself and what has been my journey to happiness, where I'm coming from. So at this point, for the one of you who have already the video on, I would like to see a raise of hands. How many of you recognize this picture? What is this? I see one hand up, and that's Giovanni, but you're probably Italian from the name. I see Musab. Musab, do you recognize, where is it? You want to unmute yourself and shout out what it is?
This should be Napoli, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. This is the Vesuvio. So that is not where I come from, but I do come from. So I guess if I would show you this, let's try this one. Who would recognize this if I show you this, other than Karin, which has been there? Giovanni, do you still recognize? Are you still recognize this? Okay. Anybody else? So this is Caserta, and this is the Royal Palace of Caserta, which is the best version of the Royal Palace of Versailles in France. And that's basically, Caserta is only 20 minutes away from Naples. We can see the Vesuvio from our own houses. It's so close by this, but hardly anyone knew Caserta. So that's my hometown. And in the way that I grew up like loving philosophy and psychology, but I just could not understand why we were having so many beauties in the south of Italy, so much resources, but we were just not using them. And everybody was thinking on life as sacrifice. yes, we had the siesta, and yes, we had the lunches, and we had fun, but there was like more of a concept of life, which was like sacrifice, and all of our public organizations were really not making any usage of all of the beauties that we had. So I was growing frustrated, and I really wanted to understand happiness from the side of economics. So what I did, I went to study business economics in Rome. And then in 2002, I came to the Netherlands for an internship at Forrester Research. And that's where I started writing my master thesis on customer experience. And I really start gaining all my knowledge into customer experience. And basically that internship turned out into a full-time position. That's also where I met Karin, now already like 18 years ago, basically. And I've been living in the Netherlands ever since with my Dutch husband and my 2 sons. And if I bring you back to, so my path has been really like, I worked in the field of customer experience since 2002, first at Forrester Research in sales and marketing, then going to the contact center of Adobe, which was run by Stream, now Concentrix. And then I joined Philips as responsible for the online shop after sales experience. And across all my positions within company, I always leveraged the voice of the customers, Net Promoter Score, and all the comments to really understand what drove customer behavior, what made customer happy, what were the needs, and how are they going through the entire cycle. And across that, I also started to build my vision, which was we can all be happy as a customers, as employees, as a society. And if we can be happy, then profit will also follow as a result. But it shouldn't be the other way around, because if we aim only at profit, then we are also going to see life as sacrifice and all about money. At the end, we achieve nothing. So with that vision, then now 7 years ago this month, I started my own consultancy company, Wow Now, which has really been about helping companies become inspired and empowered to create more what I call HCX, so happiness-centered, human-centered and happiness-contributing experiences. And over the last few years, I've done a number of certifications on customer experience. I've done a TEDx on happiness-driven growth. I published this book, but mostly in the last 2 years, I also followed the Happiness Studies Academy of Tal Ben-Shahrar, of really looking at happiness from an holistic point of view, putting together findings from psychology, neuroscience, and consumer behavior, as well as economics and literature. So what I'm gonna share with you today are my top 10 findings over the past few years, and how you can really use those strategies for yourself. And the main changes that I mentioned that I really, for me, it's about what I try to do in the world is really to create within the organization these human-centered and happiness-contributing experiences. And really focusing on happiness. So at this point, I would like to introduce you to Miro, and I want to start with the following question, which is, what is your definition of happiness? And in order to do this, you need to go into this tool, which is called slido.com, and you put in the same code 112255, which we use now to log in into the session. And I need to start this one, yes. And then I'm gonna share the screen from here. Is it clear to everyone? Can everyone access Slido? So if you go to Slido and you put in the code 112255, you find this screen exactly like, similar to this one, where you can put in your definition. Apple, I can see somebody has, so the first answer is apple, and now I wonder if an apple to eat, or it's like your Apple iPhone, or how are you intending a pear? Are you guys taking, like making jokes for me? Bit of humor, that's always good to make us smile. And I am gonna share from here and start to see what are the answers that are coming in. Yes, living your best life despite the negative challenges you face, when you feel relaxed, enjoying the present moment, authenticity, Coca-Cola. It's funny that to start to see that there are already a lot of tools and brands in there. Happiness is a feeling of inner peace. I see 20, I think, oh, we are with 43 participants. So either you guys need to be quicker, enjoying the present moment. Cool. What I will also do with all of this, what I will do is that afterwards I'll share with the team what are your answers, so that you can also look more in details what everyone has written. And let me share again with you then the presentation and share with you my definition of happiness. So my definition of happiness stands from the one from Mahatma Gandhi, to which says that happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. To which I added the following: what you feel and what you experience. Because while I believe that we each can leverage all our happiness, and it's an inside-out work, I also believe that a lot of our happiness is based on the experiences that we have with the companies that we interact with as a customer or as employees, and it's ultimately about the feeling. And so a lot of the things that I will share with you are all elements in which we can all influence our happiness and the happiness of the companies. But what does science say? What is happiness from more of a scientific point of view, and putting all those insights together? So there are really 5 aspects of happiness, which are the one that we will cover this evening. And those are the following. The first one, it's happiness. It's really an emotion triggered by our needs. Second, it's a result of our so-called dose of chemicals, but it's also a feeling triggered by all of our senses. And it's also about narrow pathways in our brain. And finally, it's about an attitude and a way of living. So what we're going to do now is to explore each of them, and how you can influence each of them in a reactive or proactive way. So the first one, it's possibly one of the most important, and one of which we very often struggle with, and it's about emotion. If you think about emotion, what are the emotions that come to your mind? What are the main emotions that you can think of? And how do you tend to label them? If we look at the emotions that we all feel, at the end, it boils down to 5 main categories, for which you can see all of the different gradation. From bottom up, it increases for happiness and love. And for sadness, fear, and anger, if you read from top down, they become stronger and stronger. And how are we most often used to consider those emotions? What are the first words that come to mind? Anyone volunteering? When you see those emotions, what is the first thing that you think? How do you label those emotions? Is it too difficult to unmute? Shall I share it with you? So like, one of the most common label is that people tend to look at those emotions as positive or negative. And if there is one thing that you really remember from me this evening, is probably this one. Like, let's stop labeling emotion as positive or negative, but reframe them. At the very maximum, we can call them pleasant versus unpleasant. But the biggest reframe that you can do for yourself, for your clients, for your children and your family, is to really see emotions as emotions that we feel when our needs are met, versus emotions we feel when our needs are not met. And in the word itself, emotion, the objective of emotion are to set us in motion. So if we learn to see them in this way, then we can also think of, why am I feeling this way, and what's the need behind it, and then take an action in order to fulfill that emotion. So the image that I want to share with you here is the one of a rainbow. And at this point, I will invite you to the first also Qigong exercise. So hopefully you'll remember this one as well more. So, and I need to think, how do I do this one? Yeah, so if you stand up with me, we are gonna do the first Qigong exercise. And I mentioned to you, so Qigong is about the Qi, which is the energy, but it's also about activating our meridians, activating our blood, making sure that we gain energy. And this one, it's really what we are gonna do here. We are really gonna do the rainbow of emotion. So if you put your hands in this way, and in Qigong, like the chi is very often, it's between your hands. So you can really feel your energy between your hands. There is a connection between your hands. So if you imagine having a ball of energy between your hands and all of your emotions, then what we are going to do is that we are going to take all those emotions and reach up and look at them. And then we go right with your hands, and your hip go towards left and the other way around, and you stretch. And as you do this, you imagine really holding a rainbow over the palms of your hands, and you are really moving left to right, painting your rainbow and really looking at your emotions, recognizing them, and you accept them and you are thankful for them. And as you do this from a Qigong point of view, what you're doing by stretching, you're also, again, activating your energy, but you're also cleansing your system, because in every stretch that you do, you're also, cleansing all of your toxins. And then you go back in the center and you come back. And with this, from a body point of view, and you can sit, we have activated our energy and deactivated our meridians. And hopefully from a memory point of view, like the connection I want to make for you is that when you look at the rainbow, in order to see the beauty of the rainbow, we need to have had also the rain. And what does rain stands for? It really stands for first recognizing your emotion, then accepting them. Like with emotion, if you don't accept them, but you just say, I don't want to feel angry, I'm not gonna feel angry, the result is just that you will feel more and more angry, because you will keep thinking about that and you will not giving space. The moment in which you accept it, then it's there, you acknowledge it, and then you can take the next step, which is to investigate the needs behind those emotions. And here you find some questions, and I will share this presentation also with you later on how can you do it. What are the questions that you can use with yourself or with others to really think and say, okay, what's behind that emotion? So if you're feeling angry, that you can really ask yourself or the other person, is that you think, is that you need, is that you wish you would have had that job that you were so learning to get, but you didn't get it and made you angry. That's a way to investigate the needs. And then what are those needs? So putting together the findings from Marshall Rosenberg, the Maslow hierarchy of needs, as well as the case that we studied also for the book, we compiled together this list of all universal human needs, which fall under 9 main categories. So they are related to all of our safety needs, everything related to our health. Then you have autonomy, you have purpose and meaning. You have all of the needs related to play and creativity, spontaneity, variety. You have integrity, which is also about honesty. You have everything related to nature and beauty and harmony, and also stability and balance. You have empathy, which is all about belonging, connection, feeling inclusion, love falls under here. And then you have simplicity, which is about clarity and ease. And finally, you have smile, which is also about recognition and celebration. And so if those are the needs, then the very first practice coming out of the conclusion that emotion is also triggered by our needs is that really what we need to do is to be aware of the emotions and have a rainbow dance with them to investigate needs. But if this is reactive, you can also be proactive. So if happiness is what you feel when fulfilling your needs, the question is, how can you fulfill more of your needs? There is a beautiful a metaphor from Tal Ben-Shahar, which says that happiness is just like the sun. We need the sun to survive and to flourish, but if we look straight into the sun, we would get blinded. And the same is true of happiness. If we just try to pursue happiness, we are, and like, oh, I want to be happy and I should be happy and I'm not happy, we are just gonna feel miserable because we make happiness what we pursue directly. And instead, in order to be happy, we should pursue the happiness indirectly, just like we don't look straight in the sun. So we should pursue all the things that make us happy indirectly. And those are our needs. So the question here now for you is, and again, if you go in Slido, I'll activate it, is what are the elements which contributes to your happiness? What's your happiness fuel? So if you go again to Slido, yeah, and you put in that, when we can start to see the answers from you guys. And I want to share it from here. So we have 6 answer, 9, being in the moment, luck, exercise. Yeah, now we start to see family, love, and friends. Yeah, overcoming a challenge. And yeah, excellent. Yeah, I see already a lot of them there. And I think I had an extra, yeah, and if then, and I have one more question. How many people have voted? 27, or let's give it a few more seconds. 29. Yeah. And then the next question. Yeah. So, and if I make it, let me see. And then making it quantifiable. So I am gonna switch to the next question. In the next question, what I did, I already provide you with a selection of answers in the 9 categories, in the 9 happiness factor, under the idea of health, autonomy, purpose, play, integrity, nature, empathy, simplicity, and smile, which are also the 9 elements of the happiness flower. So the question here for you is to quickly have a quick quantitative view of what are the one which are most valuable to you. What are the one which, if you had to pick 2 or 3, are the one which really give you the highest happiness dose? They make you the happiest. There's 16 people so far, 18. Vote, vote, vote. And smile, so it looks like a smile, health, and empathy are the strongest one. Thank you all for voting. I am gonna switch back to the, I need to stop share here and start sharing here. And again, I will share the results with you also afterwards. So here you find again in a summary all of those different elements. And basically it came out from the survey that most of you valued smile, empathy, and nature. I have a smile is the top one, health and empathy. And the question here is also like, how can you make sure that you make more space and time for the one which contribute the most to your happiness? Because that's very often what we do. We know what makes us most happy and contribute us the most, but we don't always make time for that activity. So the trigger here is how can you create even more space for it? And if you do that, so really the second strategy here, it's about consciously pursue happiness indirectly through these 9 yellow factors or happiness factors. And then we go to the second truth about happiness, which is that it's triggered by our dose of chemicals. So what basically happens is that one of the key things about happiness, it's also about how many chemicals we have in our body. And there is really like here, like the DOSA really stands for 4 key chemicals. The first is dopamine. We get dopamine every time that we have an objective for ourselves and we achieve it. Or every time that we have a need and we fulfill it. That is also why fulfilling our needs makes us happy, because from a chemical point of view, it gave us dopamine. The second one is oxytocin. And oxytocin is really the hormone of trust and bonding. We get oxytocin every single time that we shake the hands of somebody, or that we hug, or that we have touch or contact skin to skin. So oxytocin is also produced when a mother gives birth or starts breastfeeding. And now in this situation in which we cannot actually even shake hands anymore, we need to find other ways for getting oxytocin. And that's also normally a massage or really hugging each other. So for the one of you who have kids, just go and hug each other. And I think that's also why, like, the Dutch government at the very beginning surprised us very much as Italian culture when they proposed to have a sex buddy. But actually, from a technical point of view, they were right. I see, Karin, you're laughing. But like, we need touch because we need oxytocin. So we need to have a buddy that we can hug in those days. Serotonin is instead the hormone that we get and the chemical that we get when we can say, I did it. So if we run a marathon, or if we set up for ourselves something that we want to do and we are able to say, I did it, that's when we feel confidence, and therefore we produce serotonin. And really the funny thing about serotonin is that we can almost produce it on demand, because so when you hear the sentence, think happy thoughts, just think happy, the truth behind that one is that if you think that you're happy, you will produce serotonin. So one quick way of doing that is to look at images and picture of happy moments, because just that memory of that situation will make you feel happy. And that's also the challenge, because when you are very down and you are depressed, you lack serotonin, and you get into a vicious circle, because the less serotonin you have, the more sad and depressed you will get. And the final one is endorphin. And endorphin, it's also like, it's the runner high. So endorphin is the one hormone that we get when we get through pain, and we get to a certain point of pain that our body starts to produce endorphin. That's why it's also called runner high. We cannot always produce it by doing that. But the other thing that really helps with endorphins, it's to smile and to laugh. So laughter and looking at comedy and fun videos, that's the other quickest way to get endorphin. And that is why also when we surround ourselves by smiling people with humor, a lot of people, you had a lot of said smile as the number one, because that's an immediate way for us to produce endorphins. And that's also why the inner smile meditation, it's good for us, because it produces endorphin. And for each of those one, there are a number of activities that you can perform. Again, I will share this with you, and it's also in one of the blog post link that we send to you guys, and we'll send again later, where you have more details. So here, the truth is, the tip is consciously leverage and nurture your chemical dose. Make sure that you have all those chemicals. And so it's true also the rest. So if we don't have those chemicals, then we are unhappy. So this is a quick view of some of the illness or mental health issue that we have when we miss dopamine. We have ADHD or Parkinson are the results of a lack of dopamine. If you don't have oxytocin, you're not able to breastfeed. You don't have serotonin, you get depression. If you don't have endorphin, you have pain. And in most of those cases, we can, like drugs are actually chemical ways of getting those hormones, and so are medicines. Medicines are just chemicals to get this one. But I have great news for you. There is one wonder drug. Now I think Karin may kill me this evening. After we spoke about the sex buddy, we're now going to introduce to you the wonder drug. So anyone knows what's the wonder drug? Anyone wants to take a shot? Karin, I see someone next to you wants to raise her hand.
Yes, of course I know. I looked at Karin. It's, I think it's sex.
Close, but no.
Oh.
You guys don't know Nest? Nobody knows Nest? The most powerful drug ever? No? Do you want to know? We are running out of time. I'm afraid I cannot share with you what it is. It's already time for questions. No time. No, kidding. So are you ready to go to know? Are you ready? It's the most simple of all, almost entirely free. The first N is for nutrition. What you eat, it's absolutely critical. So all sorts of, and again, this one in the blog post, you have more details on this one, like seeds are in very quick way of getting all those nutrients, vegetables, curcuma, ginger. There are so many elements, but really everything that you eat, non-processed food, is your first way of getting those chemicals. So nutrition. The second one, E, it's for exercise. Like when you exercise, you activate nearly all of those chemicals. The S, it's for sleep, which is also recovery. And here it's one important one about this one is, so like not only you need sleep to function and for like really detoxification and everything that you can do, and you need holidays for your long-term rest, but what you can also do, and you can always do, is to take micro recovery moment. And in fact, those are even more important than the macro holidays that you may take. So through the day, especially now that we are sitting all the time in front of the computer, it's very critical to take micro moments. So every 15 minutes, few seconds, breathe in, breathe out. Even the exercise that we just did with the breath, that they allow you to take very quick recovery moment, or go for a walk, 10 minutes walk every couple of hours. All those small recovery moments, they are just as powerful, if not more powerful, than going for a very long holiday. And the final one, whoever said sex was very close, because it's again touch. So, and touch here, it's so it's like the minimal for survival. It's 4 hugs a day. So you need to have at least 4 hugs a day to survive. 8 hugs a day is just to have a good life, but for actually having growth, you actually need 12 hugs per day. 12 hugs per day, they really allow you to grow. And there actually been a lot of study on this one, where they even did some tests into the baby yard, where they looked at baby which were born premature. That baby, the control group just grew regularly, but baby in yards where the nurses were taking the baby out and touching them and holding them body by body, they grew 47% more than the other baby. So important is touch into our growth. So this one, it's a very important one, and nearly all of these, other than nutrition, are very much free. So this one is our tip number 4. Really create and nurture your best nest possible. Then the third tip, it's coming from the, so the third aspect of happiness is that happiness is a feeling triggered by 5 senses. So it's very critical that you engage all of your 5 senses for 2 reasons. One, because when you engage with all your 5 senses, you just enjoy much more of the entire experience, of the beauty, of the taste, of everything that you are experiencing. But the other element, why it's important, is that you can also be happier by engaging with your 5 senses. Why? Because, so, and here, like, I try to keep it simple and short. We have our left and the right brain. And when we engage with our 5 senses, even for as little as just 10 seconds, that becomes a way to shift our brain system from left to right. So we are more creative, but we are also in that way activating the parasympathetic system, which is the system which helps us relax. So that balance of cortisol, which is our stress hormone. And there is this wonderful book, which is called Positive Intelligence, which is all about so the next level of emotional intelligence. And what Shiraz Shamin talks about, it's a PQ. So a PQ, it's like a rep for the brain. So just like in the gym, you do rep for your muscle, you can also do rep for your brain by just concentrating for 10 seconds at a time on a music or on how your skin feels or tasting a chocolate, anything which involves your senses. And if you do this for 20 days, at least 10 times a day, so for a total of 100 reps per day, you make incredible transformations because you completely activate your right brain and therefore the parasympathetic system. And why 21 days? That is linked to the third aspect of happiness, which is that happiness is also a brain pathway, so a neuro pathway which we need to develop. Basically, our brain, from a neuroscience point of view, it's connection, it's neurons connection that fire and wire together. So like if we think of the past, we know that if I would eat now on my hands, that does pain. So if I see you do this, before you even hit me, I already know that pain is coming. Why? Because there has been a pathway created in my brain which knows that if I see you do this, I can expect pain to follow. So from an happiness point of view, we need to start creating the pathways in our brain which allow us instead to create the ways for more happiness to flow. So you have to imagine really all of our brain cell as a river that needs to be shaped. And whatever action you do, whatever rituals you start to implement, it will start to shape that path, that river. And from a neuroscience point of view, you need exactly 21 days of a certain ritual repeated consecutively for those 21 days for that path to be created. And it's also very critical that you pick one thing at a time, because if you try to do 10 things, then your brain will just try to create too many pathways. So it's better to focus on one thing, do it for 21 days. So that is also why those PQ repeated for 21 days are also the way that they start, then they become a habit of you to just learn to unplug for 10 seconds, which then becomes your recovery mode. So linked to this one is the seventh strategy, which is really establish ritual. If there is anything that you need to change, make it a ritual, because then it becomes automatic. So to share with you one ritual which I implemented when at very beginning of the lockdown, my biggest challenge was that I could not see my mom, and I really felt disconnected from her other than talking via the phone. So the one ritual which I implemented was actually called, and actually we're gonna do this together, and it's called the loving kindness meditation, because the loving kindness meditation is again a tool coming a bit from the East philosophy, but it is the one element which can in some way replace touch when you cannot be directly physically with somebody. Our brain is so powerful that if you think of being with somebody, or that you think so well of somebody, that will act also as a touch and as a kindness and connection with that one person. So the ritual that I instituted over the lockdown was that every morning, the first thing that I would do when I would stand up, I would go outside my balcony and I would do the following, which is a mix of, again, Qigong exercises. So it's putting your hands in this way. You breathe in, you breathe out, you breathe in, and you breathe out. And I connected this to the meta loving meditation, which is, it starts with, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be at ease, and may I be free from suffering. So those are the 4 words that you repeat. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be at ease, and may I be free from suffering. But then I was doing it for my mom. So may my mom be happy, may my mom be healthy, may my mom be at ease, may my mom be free from suffering. And I repeated this 3 times for myself, 3 times for my mom, 3 times for the neighbor, and 3 times for the word entire, and that became a habit. And what I also did it when I was washing my hands. So we had to wash our hands for like 60 seconds. I was like, okay, I can do the loving metta meditation also at that time. And as you establish those rituals, they become your new way of doing, just like we learned to brush our teeth. And then the last 3, so another one, because again, it's a pathway, you can create all different paths. Here, I wanted to introduce at least briefly the model of Tal Ben-Shahar. When he talks about well-being, he identifies 5 elements, 5 paths for well-being. His model is called SPIRE. There is spiritual well-being, which has the path of purpose and the path of mindfulness. And a lot of the things that we mentioned, for example, are also elements of mindfulness. It then talks about the physical well-being, which is exercise and recovery. Intellectual well-being, which is about a different approach, reframing failure and journaling. And then it talks about the R, the relational well-being, and the emotional well-being. A lot of the things about emotional well-being we covered already. The one thing which in this context we had not covered too much yet was the relational well-being. And here the 2 paths that it introduces are real relationship. So really make sure like relationship has been the #1 predictor of happiness. And you saw that a lot of you also already mentioned family and love and partner in the elements that make them happy. But the other key element here is also about giving. And basically what has been found is that we are happy not only by receiving, but even more by giving. So one thing that you can do is to help somebody else be happy. And by doing so, that will automatically make you feel better and will also contribute to your relationship. So also here, if you go back to Slado, I have a new question for you, because then thinking back of the flower of happiness, all those elements are elements that you can use to contribute to your own happiness, but there are also elements that you can use for giving happiness to other people. So I have the following question for you. If you go again to Slido, which of the following happiness factors do you use to contribute to others? And let me see, do I have it at the right place? Yeah. And let me share again with you how you're all replying. Yeah, so we see that again, empathy and smile win, but we have also new entry, which is play. Yeah, so we see that empathy is again the winner as well as smile. And let me do directly from here. So yeah, I am okay. I need to stop sharing again. I will share it with you again afterwards, and then I need to share again from here. So, voila. So basically it's, yeah, you can take the 10 Inspire to well-being, but you can also really choose what is your seed and how do you want to contribute. So at the end, the final 2, it's really about happiness being also an attitude and a way of living. And here there are two main tips that I want to leave with you. One, it's really about turning on your light, which is, it's really about, we cannot influence, so we can only do what we can do until a certain point, and then the rest is up to the other. But by being you and really turning on your light of the best that you can be, that automatically enables other people to shine their own light too. And you don't have to worry about whether they do that or not. So you take only your own charge. And the second one, so the first one is turn on your light. And the second one, it's at the end about really seeding the change that you want to see in the world. So also back to happiness, even when happiness is not our main driver or is not the way that we as a company decide to differentiate, we can all do little extra that help seeding happiness or shine our light and contribute to other people's happiness and ultimately to an healthier world. So, and you guys, yeah, so the question that I want to leave you with is really, what will your yellow factor be? How do you want to shine your light and really provide that happiness also to other people, which then in return also increase your happiness? And you already answered this question in Slido. So this is really the last bit. And at this point, I think, yeah, the next one, it's really about recapping all of the 10 strategies that we look at. So we looked at the first aspect of happiness being about an emotion triggered by our needs, which then has two strategies attached to it. First one is be aware of your emotion, practice active acceptance, and have a rainbow with your emotion. And the second one is really to proactively cultivate your emotions and consciously pursue happiness by looking at the 9 elements of happiness. The second one, it's about being aware that happiness is also a result of our dose of chemicals. So make sure that you consciously leverage and nurture the dose, and that you also create and nurture your best possible nest, the wonder drug. Third one, it's about the element, the feeling triggered by your 5 senses. So engage with all your 5 senses so that you make the best of every situation that you are, but also do your P rep. So by just focusing on your 5 senses for 10 seconds at a time, you make sure that you shift your attention to the right side of the brain. And the last 2, it's a pathway. So make sure that you practice the muscle of happiness in your brain by developing rituals which contribute to your happiness, and by working the 10 path of the Spire well-being and mostly cultivating relationship here. And the last 2 about the attitude and way of living, focusing on shining your own light and seeding the change that you wish to see in the world. And that were my 10 key tips. And as a final thing, I think I had this one, and I'm like, I wanted to leave some more time for questions, but at the very least, I would like you to take a moment. You heard a lot of things from me. So one thing I also invite you to do after the session is to take a moment to write down for yourself the magics that you take out of it. What was for you most meaningful? Was there an aha moment which really changed your way of seeing things? One action that you're going to take as a result of this, something that you're already grateful for, maybe because you realize that you do it or your partner does it and you hadn't realized it before, something that you find inspiring, something that you find also challenging, and in that case, what type of support do you need and by who? So that then you can make this very actionable. So this is for yourself, but once again, if you go back to Slido, there is also a question that you can share with if you want to share with everybody else what your summary and what you take home from this one is, you can do it from Slido too. And then I will open for a few questions, and I don't know, I guess, I don't know, Karin, if at 7 you guys have to shift immediately to the other question, to the other call, or if we still want to.
Rosie, we have 2 minutes.
Okay.
Answer questions.
So I don't know if there is any burning question. Did you guys receive any questions in the chat? I didn't see anything in the chat. So if I share screen and go to Slido and I see, yeah, what are the magics that you guys take out of the session? If you want, you can type it in there. And I will share the screen there. Any question in the meantime? Yes, indeed. And if you put the initial, then we know exactly what it is. So I see somebody is grateful for the smile, taking a break more often. I think it's an action. Yeah, the fact that you can channel your energy. I guess it's an aha moment. And as you guys type, any questions? Any questions? So those are the key things. I see somebody, the sex buddy also stuck a card. Focus on nest. I don't see any questions here in Slido, and I don't see any questions in the chat either.
I think there's one in the chat.
Oh yeah, one. What am I most grateful for? What am I most grateful for? Right now, also having had the chance to be with you guys, and I really hope that it was useful and meaningful to all of you. Otherwise, what I'm most grateful for this year, I have to say, is that I managed to really switch my perspective. That by applying the things also that I share with you, I find that I can handle much better down moments or setbacks that are happening, or it's just yeah, it is the way that it is, and what can I do to now fix it? What is the action that I can take, rather than just go down into and spiral down spiral.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if there are no more comments here, yeah, what I'll also activate in Slido is just the question: how valuable was this session for you, with a score 1 to 5, where 1 was not at all and 5 was very valuable. And I also look forward to receive your feedback. So yeah, anytime if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy to have all of your feedback as well.
Rosaria, thank you very much for this evening. It was wonderful to get inspired by you, especially during these strange times. We hope we can bring your happiness and your inspiration to our next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you. And again, any questions, anything, just reach out.
Excellent. For everybody attending, we have a second session in the other link that you can attend to give you a brief update regarding developments at BrightStone Group. So hope to see you there in 1 minute. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.